In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can get a free Tesla Cybertruck. Make sure to watch all the way to the end to see all the details and exactly what actions or steps you need to take now. If you have any comments, feedback, questions on any of the details of the video as you're watching, make sure you drop them down below in the comment section and I'll be sure to get back to you. So here's what we're going to be discussing today. First off, the quick explanation. How do you actually get a free Cybertruck? Number two, we're going to do a detailed math breakdown, aka spreadsheet time. Number three, we're going to talk about what you need to do today. And number four, finally, what you need to do in the future coming months to get your free Cybertruck. So let's get into it. So what's the quick explanation of how you can get a free Cybertruck? It comes down to this. You're buying a Cybertruck or reserving one now so that you can lock in a good full self-driving price and then use that Cybertruck as a robo-taxi to pay itself off. Let me explain. Right now, on Tesla's website, you can reserve a Cybertruck going forward into the future starting at $39,900. But the interesting thing is you can tack on the full self-driving feature for an additional $10,000. And the very interesting thing is that selecting full self-driving today will secure your price as it increases in the future. And Elon has hinted that the price of full self-driving could increase dramatically, go from maybe $10,000 to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000, maybe even higher, to lock in full self-driving once level 5 full autonomy robotaxi level driving is obtained. But for only $100, just $100 today, that is actually fully refundable at any time up until delivery of the vehicle. But for just $100, you can lock in this $10,000 price of full self-driving. So even if it skyrocketed to $50,000 in the future, you could still purchase the vehicle with the $10,000 price simply for reserving a Cybertruck at $100 today. And again, it's even fully refundable. So by reserving the Cybertruck, you're literally risking nothing, but you have the opportunity of possibly buying a full robo-taxi capable truck at a very, very good deal. $39,900 plus an additional $10,000. And I'm going to show you the math of how your robo-taxi Cybertruck could pay for itself in just a few years. So here is my Cybertruck robotaxi math spreadsheet breakdown, and I'm going to explain all these numbers so that anyone watching or listening to this can understand all the details here. By the way, I did everything in US dollars and miles for my US friends. So just so you know, everything's in US dollars and miles for this analysis. So first off, we have the revenue. How much revenue can you generate from your robotaxi? I'm assuming that the robotaxi could drive about 300 miles per day, doing trips and going to get people, to pick up people for trips. So that works out to 300 miles a day. I'm kind of estimating an average of 30 miles per hour driving speed, overall average, at 10 hours per day of driving around. Approximately 3 hours, 20 minutes in the morning, 3 hours, 20 minutes maybe around noon hour, and then 3 hours, 20 minutes around supper time, rush hour, coming home from work in the evening. I actually think it could go more than this, but this is kind of what I'm using as this baseline value, 300 miles per day, which gets you 109,000 miles per year of total driving. And I'm assuming 50% of these miles are going to be billable miles, meaning they're actually miles where a customer's paying, and then the other 50% you're driving to go pick up a customer. I think this utilization rate could go higher if there's it depends how many robotaxis there are and how much demand there is, of course. But if you're more robotaxis kind of everywhere, you could, in theory, become more efficient where this utilization rate would go higher. And that could make this whole model much more profitable. It just depends on the amount of robotaxis and the demand. So I'm going to say 50%, which gets you 150 billable miles per day, and that's 54,000 billable miles a year. I'm going to assume that in the early years of robotaxis, for quite a few years, I think they could be charging an average rate. I think it'll be a dynamic rate, but sort of an overall average of $1.25 per billable mile. This is, and we know where I live in Canada, it's about roughly double this cost. So it'd be about $2.50 US dollars per mile, just to take a taxi, for example. So the taxis, I think this is about half of what it costs to take a taxi. It's going to cost more than a typical person would pay for ownership of their vehicle, but the convenience of having a robotaxi, not having to have that ownership cost, being flexible when you want to take it, I think that's worth $1.25 to consumers, and people would gladly pay that, at least in the starting years. Over time, this cost, I think, will decline as the number of robotaxis increases. So that gives you $187 a day, $68,000 a year in revenue. Now, Tesla, I think, is going to take a percentage of every single dollar of the revenue. So I'm going to say 15%. I don't know if they'll do 0%, maybe something higher than 15, but I think they'll do a combination of an upfront cost for full self-driving and then a percentage take rate. So I'm saying 15%, which gets you to about $10,000 a year on that revenue. So this is also why I'm extremely bullish on Tesla as an investment even today, because they can have the potential to make $10,000 a year recurring revenue on every vehicle that's made. It's an unbelievable model, and I think will make them the most valuable company in the world by quite a large margin. Okay, now Cybertruck costs. So the Cybertruck is $40,000, and I'm going with the single motor Cybertruck. So that's about the $40,000 model. There might also be incentives, EV incentives into this, which might make this cheaper, but $40,000 I'm plugging in, and it's important to do the single motor for this model. That can be the best choice by far, because for two reasons. Because the single motor is going to be the most economical as a robotaxi. You don't need to pay for that extra cost for basically extra battery capacity as a robotaxi. And the second reason why the single motor is the right choice is because it will be built last. So the tri-motor vehicle, the most expensive, will be built first, and then the dual, and then the single motor. And the single motor, in that case, you want to reserve a single motor as your robotaxi, because there's a better chance the further along it comes through production and arrives to you, that from day one you could receive the robotaxi and know with assurance that robotaxis are alive and well. So buying that single motor is important for that timeline as well. Okay, so I'm going to assume the truck can last for about 500,000 miles of a total life. So of course, it maybe could last longer than this, especially maybe you replace the battery pack. But I'm going to assume 500,000 miles is kind of my estimate for it's completely falling apart. I think, in theory, you baby it, it could last longer than this, especially, it's a stainless steel body that's going to be very, very rugged. But 500,000 miles is my estimate. So it's 4.6 years, and over your overall cost as you pay off the truck over those 4.6 years is going to be about 16 cents a mile, or $24 a day, $8,700 a year. Full self-driving, again, we're locking in at $10,000. Maybe this will go to $50,000, $100,000, who knows? So this is the beauty of it. You're locking in this $10,000 price, and then you're paying about $2,000 or $2,200 per year for that. Your insurance, it's very difficult to say what robotaxis will cost. I plugged in $4,000 a year for insurance. Could be higher, could be lower, but there's quite a bit of cushion in this model in the overall results, as you'll see. So even if it's much higher than $4,000, still a really good model. $4,000. If it's lower, even better. Tires, I'm saying $3,000 for some really heavy-duty truck tires, and they're going to last 60,000 miles, about $15 a day, $5,500 a year just for replacing your tires. So you're going to go through tires at least once a year. You'll completely go through your tires and switch them out. Electricity usage, so you have your watt hours per kilometer, which is basically just an energy usage per kilometer. I took this from this website. They're estimating for the Cybertruck 256 watt hours per kilometer in a kind of colder weather city driving. So obviously this would be more efficient in a summery, warmer climate than this data would say, but I'm trying to be a little bit conservative, and I converted that to miles, 412 watt hours per mile, and your kilowatt hours is 15 cents or dollars, 15 cents per kilowatt hour. I'm going to assume as electricity cost. It gets you about 12 cents per mile, $19 a day, $6,700 per year in electricity. Your cleaning costs, I'm going to assume $20 a day for cleaning. It might be higher than that. But still, there's quite a bit of room for error in this model and still be a good model. So $20 a day, and maybe it doesn't clean every day, but maybe every 2 days, 3 days for $60, somebody does a complete clean out of the inside and washes out the outside. I think there's going to be third-party cleaning services that you can book, and your robotaxi will just drive up to them, and they'll be efficient at cleaning out your robotaxis. So your loan amount, I'm going to assume that I'm loaning myself or borrowing the money to finance this at a 4% rate. So what interest would I pay? It's about $2,000 a year in interest. And of course, over the life of the vehicle, I've calculated that I would pay off this loan, but I'm just assuming about $2,000 a year just in interest payments. And then other maintenance, I'm saying about $4,000 a year. This could be higher, could be lower. This is going to be things like replacing brakes, seat covers, other maintenance like that. There's not a lot of maintenance on an electric vehicle, but that's the beauty of an electric vehicle, especially for a robotaxi. But I'm going to say $4,000 a year for that. So you add up all these costs and all these revenues, you get about $68,000 a year. And your costs, again, 93 cents per mile, $139 a day, $50,000 per year. And now your net income is about 32 cents per billable mile, $48 per day, or $17,500 per year. So pretty great. And that's, of course, over the life of the vehicle. This would include paying off that loan that you had that you're paying interest on. So at the end of this vehicle, those 500,000 miles, you would completely have the vehicle paid off. And whether the vehicle was trashed at that point, you would have made about $80,000 over that life of that vehicle, about $17,500 per year, or $80,000 over the whole life, which of course you could use to buy a whole nother Cybertruck for free, essentially, with these profits. And you would still even own the original Cybertruck. And in my case, if I had a Cybertruck like that, I would want to baby it as much as possible, maybe even replace the battery pack if possible, replace seats if needed, because that full self-driving is probably going to increase in time, that cost of that. Of course, this model is pretty sensitive to a lot of things. I'm not sure if Tesla is going to, for example, charge more or less than 15%. Say they charge less. Maybe Tesla's going to charge 0% take rate here, and they'll actually charge $10,000 for the full self-driving. In that case, this model, or more than 10,000, maybe they're going to charge 100,000 here and 0% here. If you reserve this Cybertruck now, or many Cybertrucks now, it's a fantastic, fantastic opportunity because you're locking in that $10,000. Maybe they're going to keep it close to 10,000, 15,000, and the percentage take rate is going to go much higher. Maybe that'll go to 40, 50%, and this model, maybe it's not worth it for you then to manage and go the headache of managing your robotaxi. Depends how Tesla decides to price that. I think it's going to be a combination. This 10,000 will increase maybe to like 30, 40,000, 50,000 even, and this might be 10 to 20% that Tesla takes, and then they're going to basically work those numbers so it's incentivized for people to still own the Cybertruck even at the higher rate. But of course, in this, what I'm suggesting is you lock in your $10,000 now, so you have the option to capitalize on that. But the bottom line I want to point out is you're able to reserve this $10,000, which Elon has hinted will likely increase over time. And right now you can lock in that price. So if there are robo-taxis and they do come to fruition in the next couple years, you could run your robo-taxi maybe in your own city where you live, maybe remotely in another city. But either way, it's a great opportunity to make about $17,500 per year while paying off your Cybertruck robo-taxi, or about $80,000 over that sort of 500,000 mile lifespan of the vehicle. So here's exactly what you need to do today. Go to Tesla's website, go to the Cybertruck portion, sometimes it's hidden on a side menu, and then select the single motor version and make sure full self-driving is added. So make sure that $10,000 full self-driving option is selected, and then go down and click Buy Now. It's very important that the single motor is selected because this is going to be the most profitable robo-taxi version. it's also going to be the last built production model. So you have the best chance with a single of actually owning a robo-taxi that could be used and deployed as a cash generating machine. Then you just go down here, the next steps, you hit buy now, you fill out your details here, you fill out your payment details, and you place your order. Again, I want to be very, very clear that there's actually, if you read the fine print, up until the time your vehicle is delivered, you can cancel this order and get your $100 back. There's really no reason not to do it. If you have $100 sitting in the bank, it's a good investment. And here's what you need to be doing in the coming months for your Cybertruck to get your free Cybertruck. Basically, just follow the development of full self-driving by Tesla. How are they progressing? Are they actually going to achieve robotaxi driverless level vehicles in the next couple years? If so, and I think it's actually possible and pretty likely they might, especially in certain jurisdictions and certain cities, maybe in the United States and certain highways. If that's possible, then getting that financing in order and planning for how your Cybertruck will be deployed as a robotaxi. Of course, you won't be the only person doing it. There'll be many others in that case, and you could learn from others as well. So make sure to follow my channel as I'll be doing this. I have a robotaxi in order, and I might even order more so that I could have a fleet of vehicles. To be clear, maybe it's a bit of a long shot that this actually pans out and there's actually robotaxis in the next couple years. But there's literally zero risk in doing so, or next to zero risk in doing so. So I figure, why not at least place the reservation, and then you have the opportunity, should the opportunity arise, to take advantage of it. Those are my thoughts on how to get a free Tesla Cybertruck, and I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments down below. And give us the thumbs up if you got value out of this. Make sure to share it with others, and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Remember, it's in the bag.